I'm funny how? I mean, funny like I'm a clown, I amuse you?
Dude!
Welcome to another edition of
J-O-B.
Yes.
What y'all got going here is genius.
No problemo.
This is
the Job and Knock podcast.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
Hello and welcome to the Job and Knock podcast. In this episode of the podcast, we use some adult language and we say a few bad words. You have been warned. So we'll kind of start.
Natural.
That's it now. The camera's on. The camera's on now, Matt. This is the serious part. You've got to pretend like you know what you're doing.
Exactly. I do that every day, so I'm used to it.
It's part of the job, mate. It's part of the job. Fake it till you make it.
Exactly.
Okay then, dude, let's start. So I'm Dan and you're Matt.
Yes, sir.
I'm sat here in Stoke-on-Trent in the UK. Matt, can you please tell us where you're from?
I am just outside of Jacksonville, Florida, United States of America. It's kind of northeast corner of Florida, just below Georgia.
Nice. So I'd like to start off this podcast or video podcast, however we're going to go about it, by starting off with your story, Matt, and why you're here. So I'd like to start off by saying we are friends through, I don't know if anyone can see behind me today what kind of product I might be involved in, but this is how I originally met Matt, through Uscribe, and we've become friends through that since, and we speak more on my own Instagram than I would say I speak to him through the business one, because we're buddies. But we first originally met through Uscribe, and I think, if I can remember right, Matt, was it because we both know John?
Yes. Yeah.
So did you see it through John?
Honestly, I can't remember who I saw it through first. It might have been through him. It might have been him just sharing somebody else's post or something like that. Obviously, I follow a bunch of cabinet guys around the States and even some of you guys over in England and stuff like that. And, got my eyes on it, and it was one of those things, kind of like when you guys developed it, I instantly saw the functionality of it, how well it could work in so many applications, and I knew I had to get my hands on it, give it a go.
Yeah, it's pretty early too. Because I remember when we started with Uscribe, Jake, and we were looking around Instagram ourselves. Obviously, John is a great guy.
He's a god.
Yeah, he's a dude and he's a legend. But also, he was a big player. He was a big hitter. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I didn't understand Instagram then, and John might have had, I don't know, 12,000 followers then. He's far surpassed that. I think he's over 30. I can't remember exactly. I don't check his followers. But he just seemed to be one of the guys at the time doing it like how I like to see. So he was breaking it down. And to be honest, I probably watched a lot of John's videos and then use them as a blueprint. You know what I mean? I think everyone does the same. They watch a few guys, especially on social media, and then you go, oh, well, that's how he's doing it. And that's how he breaks it up. And it's really how you do your work. But being good with that small camera, but on a big scale, it can be a little bit tricky still. It takes a little while to get used to, especially if you ever look back at any of your old stories.
Oh yeah, dude, they're brutal. Yeah, one of my favorite quotes is actually a Pablo Picasso quote that says, "You have to learn the rules like a professional, so you can break them like an artist."
Nice, I like it.
I love that quote because unless you know how something's supposed to work technically, you can never advance. You can never change the system. So that's kind of what you're talking about. If you go in and learn through other people, just like you did with the Uscribe, you learned how things are supposed to attach and how you're supposed to cut things on cabinetry. And then you adapted to that and you kind of broke the rules to find a new way to do this application.
A nice way of thinking about it, Matt. Might borrow that for the future because that was pretty good.
It's not my quotes, so I've been borrowing it for years.
Thank you, Pablo.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's a little brief introduction how we came about. And then also like to say, it's a little bit of a secret. There's a few people out there that do product testing for us for some of our other ideas that work around other things with the Uscribe jig. Matt, my buddy Matt here, he's one of those guys. We've had him in Home Depot. We've had him all up the state testing different cabinet thicknesses and frame thicknesses for us for a few different ideas that hopefully we can, well, maybe might have to take a little backseat with what's going on as we are in the midst of this coronavirus. So money won't be getting wasted on crazy things just at the minute. But we'll go down that route in a little while. But like I say, so Matt does a little bit of testing for us. There's another little bit of Matt's background. And one of the reasons why we've stayed in touch so much is Matt's done us a lot of favors in the past. And I can't thank you enough for that, dude. I really appreciate it.
No problem, man. I thank you guys.
Forwards. And if we could move on to, Bud, maybe giving us a bit of a background on yourself, because I know through conversations that me and you've had, and through people that probably do follow you on social media or may follow you from this podcast or through other things we've done on Uscribe Jig as well, a little bit about your background, because I know originally you're not from the USA, are you?
I'm not from the USA. Believe it or not, I was born in Canada. I don't want to say born and raised in Canada. We moved to the States when I was 11 months old. So realistically, I'm from the States.
Yeah.
The only person that considers me from Canada is the U.S. government. But
does that have its good sides, though? Can you sneak back over the border, just get some paracetamol that's cheap?
That's always been a debate of mine. How well would that work?
How much could you abuse the power?
Yeah, exactly. But no, my background is, we moved down here. My dad is a custom home builder. So he used to design and build custom homes for probably 30 years. And obviously growing up in that, I started at a young age, sweeping floors, picking up trash,
Paying your dues, Matt.
Do what?
Paying your dues.
Exactly. Earning your stripes, at a younger age than most people. And then obviously through that, task progressed. I started doing work on site. I started doing cabinetry and wood floor and trim and stuff like that. I never really did the kitchen installs.
How old would you have been then when you started off doing work with your dad?
I helped him do my first built-in when I was 8 years old.
Nice.
So that's why I say earning stripes earlier than I should have been.
I think because at 8 years old, I was probably climbing a tree, chasing a dog. Yeah. Well, there was no woodwork.
Being surrounded by construction when I was, 4 or 5 years old, I used to take his tools and build skateboard ramps and bike ramps and stuff like that. So I kind of got the feel of it early, terrifying my mom walking around with a skill saw when I was 6 or 7 years old.
See, now I get the impression of that. I don't know if that's because we're fed that back from the States, but it seems like a big amount of the population or a big amount of people in America seem to use their garages or have a workspace, and they all seem to be like, there's always a guy on the road or the street or the next door neighbor seems to be making something. I don't know if that's just fed back or it translates wrong, but always it just seems that everyone's got a space and they all seem to be making things. Or is that just glorified Hollywood?
There's definitely a big appeal from Hollywood for do-it-yourself, home improvement. You have a Home Depot on every corner. You got a Lowe's on every corner, which are the big box stores around here. So it's kind of ingrained in people's minds that they can do stuff, they can build stuff. It kind of gets muddy in that account. You get a bunch of people that shouldn't be doing it.
We have that too.
And the other thing, it kind of floods the market too. One thing in particular, when I do it is I don't do any advertising on like Facebook or anything like that.
Yeah.
Because anybody that advertises in the marketplace are the people, that probably shouldn't be doing it. And I don't even want to be associated with that. So.
I know what you're saying. I think it's just a case of we seem to see that a lot.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, the lines get blurred because what we're being fed back isn't we can't paint you all with the same brush or tar you all with the same brush. It's not like everyone's got a workshop. It just seems a lot more people seem to, especially from a younger age, from what I can see from my upbringing, like say making a skate ramp, making a tree house, making some kind of den, where over here, nah, not so much.
Well, if you think about it too, you go back in history, think about the two countries, the way they were started or the way they were brought up, I guess you could say. That's almost ingrained in American culture, is kind of building something from the ground up.
Yeah.
You guys have always had your classes and your division, and you're supposed to be doing this and you're supposed to be doing this. And the American culture is kind of, we're going to do whatever it takes type of thing.
I know what you're saying. Yeah. So slightly, it's probably cultural. So it probably does happen more often. So it was more of a make it yourself than buy it from down the store situation back then. So maybe so. That's good. So we'll get back to you. Will be about 8 years old, and you started working for your dad. Is your dad still doing the same business? Because I know you're not doing that with your dad anymore.
He stopped building last year sometime. He does architectural design as well. He used to do home design and construction, where he would design not only his own homes, he'd design for other builders, other clients, stuff like that.
Okay.
And then also, if he was designing for a client, he'd say, if you want us to price your house to build it, we'd love to price it. And then sometimes he would move down to build it for them. Sometimes they'd go with another builder, that type thing. So now he's kind of focused on the design aspect of things, trying to get off site, trying not to deal with trades, trying not to deal with the runaround and the stress, just kind of, he's getting up there in age. So
getting in his niche a little bit more.
Exactly. And kind of working partially into retirement, where it's a whole lot easier to sit at a desk and design a house than it is to go on job sites and swing a hammer.
I think that's the way. I think that's everyone's goal eventually. I mean, not everyone. I mean, some people enjoy the hands-on aspect of the job. They enjoy being on site with a bunch of guys every week, or 20 blokes on the job, and the banter. We call it banter. What do you guys call it?
I guess it's banter over here too. Just, it depends if it's good or bad. Good talking's banter. If they're running their mouth, it could be called
shit talking.
It could be jawing. It could be anything like that. So
yeah, because obviously sometimes the translation gets lost. I'll be speaking to someone and I'll say, "Oh, it's just banter," and they'll message me back, "What the fuck are you on about?"
Yeah, I feel like I have a whole different vocabulary after talking to you.
I haven't been honest, Matt. I think that's a problem I've got. I think everyone says what you just said, man. Well, no one knows what I'm saying half the time.
Right.
So did you pick up some of the design aspects also from working with your dad then, Matt? Or you're not really in the design scenario then? Did you not really have to do much when you're working for your man?
I didn't have to do much design work at that age. I was always the type of kid and worker that I would definitely look at everybody around me, how they were doing things, why they were doing things.
Yeah.
I never really got a formal training per se. People said, I learned most of what I did.
What's your qualification kind of thing?
Exactly. I did learn most of what I know by, people giving me pointers and having to do it, and also doing a lot of things wrong.
It's the best way to learn, though, Matt. Honestly,
it really is.
Learning from guys on the job that can do the job is the best form of education. I don't care what anyone says. I get it. I went to college. I understand the paperwork side of things. So you've got a piece of paper to say you qualified in this aspect of the job, but no one actually asks you for it. I think I spoke about it before, but I know more carpenters, joiners, plasterers, tilers, plumbers, not electrical or gas, shall we say, because over here they are heavily regulated, so you can't really be doing electrical work or gas work without paperwork or a qualification. Yep. But from the rest, the guys that I know without the qualifications are probably better than some of the guys that are, not all of them, because that's not fair to say everyone that just turns up on a job site and picks it up from people around them isn't. But if you've been around them from 8, and then most people will agree, you learn more lessons by making mistakes, by being on the job site, being with these guys than you do, ever in a college scenario.
Not only that too, being on the job site, you get that experience where you get, you calibrate your eye, you know what to look for, where there's potential issues, you know what part of the job could cause a potential issue where, I need to pay more attention to this because, it's going to cause an issue down the road if I don't do it a certain way.
Yeah, of course. No, you're 100%.
Also the benefit of that, being on the job site so much and, running full construction jobs. And what I tell my clients now is I tend to look at cabinetry a different way because I see it on that broader spectrum. I know when it comes to cabinetry, what does the electrician need? What does the plumber need? I'm not just going to stub the wire out where it's coming out of the wall because I know that's not where he needs it.
Yes, 100%. The experience to also be able to, I'm not going to say tell the other trades what to do, but to advise them where you think's best. And sometimes, obviously, you have them arguments. I know recently, before you was it just before you finished work with your dad, you had that crazy nightmare of a job where it was 1/100th of an inch out of square or something, and the customer was
pretty close.
crazy.
Yeah, it was.
And they're the kind of jobs where everyone's got to work in sync. So I know what you're saying. If you can say to the electrician, look, I've made this cabinet and I've designed this job to suit this application. Can you do this? They already know what they're going to do. Easier for them. Same for you because you've got it planned out in your head, or the appliance that's going next to it, or the setup that's coming later on. And that, as a project managing skill, is probably one of the most important, I think, in the job. Getting everyone on the same page.
Even to the point when I do my kitchen islands over here, by code we have to have at least one receptacle on the end of an island if it's got a kitchen sink.
Receptacle?
Plug, an outlet.
Outlet, yeah.
Yep. So, and it's got to be within 12 inches of the countertop. There's all sorts of specifications. But there's been so many times where I've set a kitchen island and an electrician has come to run his wires and he's had a bear of a time and he couldn't do it. And I'd have to go cut the hole for him and do all this stuff. So it's got to the point now where I actually pre-wire my islands. I mount the fixture on the end and run the wire for them exactly how code calls it. So when they come to connect, their power feeds in the sink base and my wire's in the same box in the sink base, and all they have to do is tie the two together. Yeah. And there's been so many times that electricians have come to me and almost hugged me because they're like, "Oh man, that's brilliant."
You have to be wary of them guys, though, Matt. You know what I mean? They'd be like taking you, like, "Do you want to go Nando's? Well, you haven't got Nando's. Do you want to go Taco Bell, buddy?" You worry about them electricians. Did I send you that picture about the electricians getting heat tested? Yes. Yeah, so I'll have to put that picture on. People will appreciate that. That was funny. I'll tell you what, electricians get some stick.
So moving on with my background, I mean, it got to the point where I moved on from the mediocre earn your stripes task to I would do framing, I would do punch out.
So did you start like working for your dad straight from school kind of thing then? Did you go finish school and then not want to?
Straight from school. I used to work for my dad during holidays of junior high school, anything like that. Even 16 years old or before 16 years old, probably 14, 15 years old, I would get dropped off at a job site, with a miter saw and a compressor and a stack of trim and say, "Hey, go run all this baseboard, and we'll pick you up in a couple hours," type thing.
See, now I think that happens a lot more in America than it does here. I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't happen because just recently I've spoke to probably 3 or 4, maybe 4 or 5 young kids, 12 or 13, 14, 15, all involved in woodwork and going on jobs with their dads or their uncles or something or other. But it doesn't seem to be as big a thing here as it does in America. Again, only just because from people that I've spoke to, it seems to be more acceptable when it comes to summers or maybe not spring breaks. You guys like going wild, but
I was working during them, man.
But that's it. What I mean is, it seems like the more acceptable that you guys tip up at the job site at a younger age to earn some cash,
Right.
and like be left alone. Like, no way in this world would I leave any kid with a compressor, a nail gun, and a chop saw. If I came back, someone's dead or he's cut his arm off. There's no two ways about it.
You also got to think at that stage, I've been using them for 6-8 years. Obviously I had those stages where I had guidance and stuff like that. But by that age, it was my turn,
Yeah. It's almost a bit American dreamy.
Yeah.
You see the Hollywood movies, you see the clips of the kid, earning his stripes before he builds his own house and then lives in the woods and fights off a bear, It's kind of a bit.
Surprisingly, it was actually, I would say, I was anti-American dreamy because, being brought up with him building houses, all I would hear when I was young is, oh, are you going to take over the company? Are you going to take over the company? Are you going to take over the company?
Yeah.
And it got to the point where I'm like, I don't want to build houses, because when I came out of high school, 18 years old, I had been in it for 15 years. I'd been in it longer than most builders around me had been in it, so I've seen the stress, I've seen the hardship, and I've seen all, and I didn't want any part of that.
I think that's one possibly other good thing about the American school system is you don't leave high school till you're 18. Do you go from high school to college to university? You still do the same principle, don't you?
University is college to us.
Got you. So there's no college, right? So we go from high school, finish high school at 16. You can go from college from about 16 to about 18. Then you can go from university. Well, you can be at university for as long as you want, I suppose. But you go straight from high school to university. Then there's no college.
Well, they're the same level here. So what it is you have local colleges, so kind of community colleges, where if someone just wants to stay home and get an associate's degree, like a 2-year degree or something like that, then universities are also colleges, but they're kind of more the upper tier. You travel to a university and you stay in a dorm and you do all that stuff. So like the big,
I see what you mean.
As we talk, the big football schools, and that's American football, not your version of football.
You do that funny egg thing. Brown egg. Yeah.
They are universities, but you can just drive down the street here and go to any local college.
But the university football, though,
it's not different age groups, I guess you could say.
But university football, because the universities are so big, are just as big as the NFL, aren't they? Some of the stadiums. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Universities are big, aren't they? That's like we obviously it's scale. It's the scale I'm talking about as well. Like we go to college and a few thousand people.
Exactly.
You've got a few thousand people, just cleaning up after the football match.
So really we have the same thing. It's just not an age different thing.
Yeah.
You graduate high school, you can either go to college or university. I
see what you mean. So it's more a scale thing. So you want to go to university to do the next best thing. And we all know the universities have all got different grades. So for sports, like over here, we get it. So for sports, you'll want to go to a certain university for basketball or football, and then other scholarships for maybe athletics or running, and then other ones for different, like Harvard and MITs and all these other things. You want to go to different universities for them. A bit similar here. Again, we're so small, we're so tiny, it's crazy. There's probably 4 or 5 big universities in the country, I would say, that you would want to go to then go to the next best job or position.
Right.
Like, in London, everyone knows of Oxford and things like that. Cambridge. York's a big university. We're quite by a big university now. We've got one called Kiel. It's a big university in comparison to some others. So I get it. But in regards to woodworks, obviously a woodworker, would you have to go to college or university for a qualification in them if you wanted to, or is that a different scenario over in America?
For woodworking, there's really no qualification for it. It's pretty lax, especially in my area. You know, if you want to be a trim carpenter, so do mill work and stuff like that, case work, you know, it's kind of, you learn how to do it. It's not even like a technical apprenticeship. You know, typically you see a younger kid working with an older guy that's done it for years, and then he gets fed up of being yelled at and he goes and does it himself.
Yeah.
So there's not real qualifications for that. And even on my account, you know, I was raised that when I get out of high school, I'm going to go to college. I'm going to get a degree of some sort. They don't care what it is. They just want something to fall back on. And I actually went to school for graphic design. I have a 2-year degree in graphic design. So logo work, stuff like that.
Nice.
I was essentially an art student doing woodwork, you know, outside of school.
Art student. Yeah, I know a few people that are art students. They didn't do as well as you, Matt. They smoke a lot of weed.
it was one of those things where, you know, I enjoyed art. I was very artistic. I was very creative. My mind kind of works a different way as other people. So
I've seen the SketchUp stuff. So obviously, even when I first came across you, your SketchUp was good. So obviously your background obviously served you well in regards to the design. So even though like you say, you're not sitting with a qualification in your woodwork, but you're probably far more qualified than anyone that went to a college or a university for woodwork, so we say, because your background sets you up from the 8 years old, but then you've got the graphic design degree, was it, did you say? Degree? So, I mean, like say, it's not that you're going to fall back on it, because it's probably just going to help you in your own work. But I suppose that's the way it works in America then, with the woodwork side of things.
Yeah, well, if you think about what we do, cabinetry, woodwork, all of that stuff, it is what I call functional design. It's got all the same aspects as graphic design, artistic design, and all that stuff. You have to know proportion, you have to know scale, you have to know balance. You know, all of these characteristics of design go into what we do. And that's kind of what separates, you know, the mediocre installers or designers or anything like that to the good ones. The guys that can look at it and say, this doesn't look right, because you can take, you know, as you know, you can take the same set of cabinets. One person can install it one way, one person can install it another way. And a client can step back and be like, I like that set better. I don't know why, but I just do. You know, and that's because the scale and the proportion and the layout. And, you know, I feel like even though my degree doesn't necessarily apply to woodworking, it gives me that artistic, outside of the box thinking to create a aesthetically pleasing design for those people who don't know the woodworking side.
I was just going to use that big posh word myself, aesthetically, because aesthetically pleasing is big in the industry, especially in the kitchen and bedroom type industry that I work in and you work in. And I think sometimes the layout, you know yourself, you've been to a job and all you're doing is fitting the cabinets, you're fitting the kitchen, whatever it is. And at each stage you go, why have they put this here? What's this doing here? Why have they done this? As opposed to when you sit back and you look at it and go, well, this is where this needs to go. The sink cabinet's best here. I can position the island here. This is the best place for the extractor. So one, it's functional. Two, like you say, aesthetically, coming back from your design background, it fits and it looks good. And I think when I look up and down Instagram, I think you can see them guys. Do you know what I mean? Because you look at the job, one, they look like they've fitted it far easier and quicker, because obviously they've geared it up, they've prepped it, they've designed it themselves, so they know how the workflow is going to go. And just lately, obviously we're in lockdown, so not so many guys working, but there's quite a few guys that I follow who you can see there in the workshops now making stuff for when lockdown's lifted here. And
I follow a few of your buddies that are doing that. Yeah,
so like Derek Barrett at the Merit, he's got loads of stuff prepped. You know, when he's got his fillers ready to go, he's put his lighting in, candles. So literally he's going to turn up, level it, fasten it, do all his fillers, and then he's gone. So what looks like maybe 4 or 5 days work, this guy's doing in 1 or 2, purely coming down through experience and marking it out. And there's a few other guys, Tom Molyneux. Did you follow Tom Molyneux?
I don't think so.
No, I'll have to give you. Tom's good. Tom's he does quite a lot of stories. He loves a domino. The guy goes through about 5 million dominoes a week. He's got dominoes and everything, but his work's really well set out. I like how he does his work. I like following what he does. And there's a few other guys, you know, the way they're putting stuff out. Soper's Woodwork's another one. He's working. I mean, I'm only saying a few guys that I can see at the minute doing it.
Do you follow Banks Carpentry?
Yeah, Gary's good lad. Just moved to his Mr. Festool. Gary's turning into. Yeah. I'm Mr. SketchUp. I watched his SketchUp video the other day. He's like some kind of wizard.
He's a master, man.
It's like Harry Potter of SketchUp.
Yeah.
Teams coming out of units and things.
Talk about him being Mr. Festool. I actually got turned on to him through Sedge when I was out in Texas with the Festool event.
Sedge the ledge.
I was sitting at breakfast with Sedge, and he was talking about someone. He's like, "Yeah, I follow this guy in England that he's mind blowing," and he sent me his link, and I was like, "Yeah, this guy's pretty good."
That's it. Yeah. You know, I like that. That's even though I like that because obviously we've met Gary in person, and he's a really nice guy, and I like that he's had his new workshop done and stuff, and it looks really good. And there's a few guys, J-Tech as well. Jody, he's doing his. He's got CNC in. Everyone's getting all really geared up, and I like that. I like to see that. I like to see the guys doing well for themselves. I
think that goes back to what you were saying about, you know, how some people have to have their hands on things.
Yeah.
You know, in these times, there's those people that they can't just sit here and not do anything. No. And I'm one of those people. You know, if someone told me, "Hey, unplug the tools and go sit in your living room," I'd go crazy. Even when this craziness started coming this way, and I kind of saw the writing on the wall, you know, I was like, okay, think 2-3 projects ahead of time, get them in the workshop. That way, if there is some sort of lockdown, fortunately, I've been able to work this whole time. But if there is some sort of lockdown, I can work in the workshop. You know, because I was like, if I can't work.
I think a lot of guys have done that here a lot. I remember speaking to Derek, Jody, and a few others that, I mean, we're all talking to each other quite a lot, hence one of the reasons for getting into the podcast, Matt, so we can all talk to each other. Because of speaking to them prior to the lockdown, and, you know, we're all getting little bits of information back. It might be Wednesday, it might be Friday, and we're waiting for the government to make the move. But what these guys were doing, we've all been proactive, organising, ordering boards, making sure they've got stuff to do whilst lockdown's in. And if I'm being honest, probably most of them have been busier in lockdown than they have if they'd be working, because, you know, they've been able to...
Phones aren't ringing.
Yeah, that's it.
Emails aren't sending.
Dedicate the time. Can't go to the shop. Can't do B&Q trip. You can't go to Home Depot. I mean, I don't know about you, but like ours are all shut, so we can't do anything. So, well, let's touch on that, Matt. While we can before we get back too much into your background.
Okay.
Obviously, here, the generalization is that most restaurants, bars, schools, pretty much anything that was a big name or a big corporation or a big company is closed unless you are an essential worker. So supermarkets and some deliveries and things have been still open, but most things are closed. What's the state of play in Florida? Because I know state to state still different, isn't it, in America?
Yeah, it's definitely state to state. Florida's actually under a pretty good amount of heat right now. The last, I think it was 2 days ago, they had actually shut down the beaches, locked down the beaches. No one could go to the beach. And 2 days ago, they partially reopened our beaches.
I saw that. I was following that, yeah.
Yeah, the way they reopened it, however, is you're not allowed to have coolers, tents, chairs, anything like that. It's only for exercise. So you can go to the beach to walk, to ride bikes, you can go fish, but no leisure, no lounging, no hanging out.
Yeah.
So I think that was mainly because people were starting to get stir crazy, and they'd be riding bikes and stuff like that down the main strip by the beach on the road. And there was starting to get human congestion on the road. So they decided to partially reopen the beach for I think it's 3 hours in the morning, 3 hours in the evening type thing. Just if someone wants to go run or ride a bike. But overall in Florida, it's kind of been shut down in stages. Obviously, like you said, restaurants, bars, anything where you can hang out, that was kind of step one, shut it down. Restaurants went to social distancing, spreading out tables, only 50 people. Then it went to only takeout only. Right now, as you said, non-essential places, hair salons, restaurants, bars, all of that are completely shut down. The big box stores, Home Depot, Lowe's, Walmart's, Targets, those are kind of like our super centers. They're still open. Home Depot last week has started one entrance in, one entrance out.
Yeah.
They're counting how many people are in the building. The way they classify it is as essential and non-essential here is if you are providing a good or service to allow someone to stay home, then you can remain open.
Yeah. Because I wondered, because obviously with Walmarts and Home Depots, it's a little bit different than here. I mean, we've got a few stores that mimic some of the American stores, but not in the same vein, because obviously I know Home Depot isn't just, you don't just turn up at Home Depot for timber, for wood. In a Home Depot, I understand they sell everything more or less for inside the home.
Pretty much they have flooring and paint and gardening and, hardware, lumber, pretty much I could do what I do going to Home Depot. You can buy countertops there. You can buy cabinets there. You can buy everything there. So it's a pretty big supplier.
Yeah, we've got a couple of places like that, but they shut them, I think. I don't know if the DIY culture may be different here than in America. Probably not, actually. But people will just go to B&Q to walk around and look.
Well, honestly, I feel the way they did the shutdown here was kind of counterproductive. They limited the hours the grocery stores are open.
Yeah.
Which in my mind, all that's doing is funneling people into one building in a small amount of time.
See, I did think this because initially when lockdown was teetering, or it went into the initial first lockdown, so the schools closed. So that's when it hit us first, because obviously the kids are at home. Somebody's got to be at home with the kids, so the wife then couldn't go to work. So I was still working that week. But I would go to the supermarket or the store late, 10, 11 o'clock, so nobody was there. Very rarely anyone's there. But obviously then as they went into panic buying mode, that's why I think they did that part, because people were just buying everything. And it just became a little bit of a joke. I mean, I thought we had it bad, but I saw some videos come out of America where they were fighting.
Welcome to America.
People are crazy about shit there, aren't they? But then I'm just thinking in the back of my head, you obviously see the state governors and all these other kind of people. And I'm looking at it thinking, can they lock America like they can lock the UK? I think they can do New York and California, some of the big places where it's a little bit more acceptable, shall we say? But you
think the government's going to hold Florida man down?
This is what I mean. Like, there's parts of America where they're all still rooting, tooting. I got 10 guns and I'm going to shop. Watch me open the door myself, go in, take everything with me gun, and I'm not going to give a shit.
That's a big, I don't want to say concern. That's not the right word. That's a big argument for when they shut down the beaches.
Yeah.
We were talking about this yesterday with my brother-in-law. That is state soil that technically it's pretty close to martial law to shut it down.
This is it, you see. So here, we're the same, We're very British and we're very proud and we're very stubborn. We probably behave a little bit more because there is no guns. But I was just thinking in the back of my head, because obviously Trump's batshit. That guy is next level. I mean, I like to watch him, which is strange. But I think, right, out of all this, if they were to take the man through every test, I think he's like borderline, maybe Asperger's, or I don't think he's all there, man. I think there's something going on with the guy because the way he talks, the way he delivers information, he's just comes across like a lunatic, I think.
Yeah, but look at what he's done prior to the presidency. Look at how successful that man is.
Oh no, I don't mean it that way. I mean, literally just how he just deals with stuff.
Oh, yeah.
He'll just go like the one the other day. What was it? Where one of the reporters questioned his or not his authority, but questioned him, and he just literally shut him down by saying, "I'm a billionaire."
Yeah.
What have you done? What's he done? What's he done? And you're like, well, you can't really argue with him in one respect, but one respect you want to go, well, yeah, you're a president now. It's not the same.
Yeah, it's a slippery slope. I hate politics. I try to follow it as little as possible. But I think it comes down to the fact that this man is a businessman in America. He had seen the issues and he was fed up with it, and he said, "I'm going to do something about it." Yeah. And now he's in there. Is he the perfect president? Far from it. But he is just like us. He was once a little small business just like I am, and he tends to stand up for them. Yeah. So no one's going to be perfect. No one's going to be right. No, I think honestly, I'd rather have a president that looks at the media and says stuff like that than have someone that says whatever the media wants him to.
Yeah. Oh no, he stands up for what he believes in. But like I say, sometimes I just think, he's not quite all there. I think there's something going on with the guy behind the scenes. Whether he's medicated or something, I don't know, but he seems like a little bit sketchy.
Hey,
but I think at the same time, though, that's America. Yeah, that's true. But I think the flip side is that prior to this, if you could have had anybody in charge, it was Trump or Clinton. And to be honest, I would have struggled. I think there's no real winner there. There's no real winner there. But
lesser of two evils.
He did really, I think, like I say, he's done really good. He's put his foot down for America and just basically said, fuck everybody else, which we all need to do from now on, because obviously we're all fucked in this situation, whereas we can't really operate or do anything within our own countries because everything's outsourced. That's a massive turning point. Everyone needs to start looking into that, especially, medical reasons and not being geared up for these things. Well, this is the third time we've gone down the route of a Chinese flu, shall we call it, because Trump likes to call it.
The irony, we go back to the presidency, the irony of all of this is from day one of his presidency, he said, we need to bring stuff back to America. We need to reopen American warehouses, stop importing, he basically said, look, this type of stuff can happen. And here we are sitting there and this type of stuff's happening. So
that's it. No, well, like you say, he called it in one respect, but no one could have predicted this kind of snow. I know New York's been pretty bad, hasn't it? They've been really hit quite bad. But New York was always going to be affected worse than probably any other city on the planet, apart from some of the Chinese cities that don't seem to have had it somehow, if you know what I mean, and the Russians that don't seem to have had it somehow, and the North Koreans that don't seem to have had it somehow, but there's a big ditch in all these countries of a lot of people in it. But that was, that was the difficult part I could see with Trump in this situation, because I don't think he likes to believe what he's told. I think he likes to take the information that he wants and then act upon it. But I mean, again, I haven't followed the American situation too closely. I saw it when it was going a little bit crazy and people were panic buying, because I used to love watching Black Friday videos in America. When you used to open the doors and you have like a $300 TV and people would straight up scrap over the TVs. So that's why I was watching it, because I like the craziness. But part of me was thinking, it's a lot of guns in America, and how tight can they go before one group loses the shit a little bit and starts just going, well, we'll just make our way in. What are you going to do? And then it would cause, obviously, a bigger problem. I mean, there's still
think
teetering
it's-
because they're doing them. Trump's doing them rallies where I say Trump supporters, they call them, don't they? Have been doing them rallies, my body, my life, and then I'll do what I want kind of situation. Which is a little bit.
Those aren't Trump support.
Oh, they're not. Oh, right.
No. Anybody that's, my body, my life, and, all for abortion, he's the opposite of that. So, and as you were saying with the guns, I think it's going to be less people trying to get into stores. And I think it's going to be more so against the government at this point. They're sitting here trying, like we were talking about on the beaches, they're sitting here trying to take away our freedoms. I understand shutting down stores and stuff like that, but, when you start taking away rights, that's happened before. And
I think it's more the advice than the rights. I think, especially we obviously we're a smaller country, we're closer to Europe, and the videos and things that we've seen from Italy and Spain, you can't hide from the fact that if you just carry on as normal, the hospitals can't cope. It's not because you're taking away people's civil liberties or freedoms. It's just, listen, if you do this, your friend's gonna die, your friend's auntie's gonna die, and everyone's gonna be affected at it. I think in a way that cancer affects people, everyone could have lost somebody due to the virus purely because of not taking it serious enough by, like, say, congregating on the beaches. Because the kids are going to be fine. Me and you will probably be fine. I mean, to be honest, I had a thought about it the other day. The construction industry, probably not the smartest people to be catching a respiratory disease. We all wear masks and things, but really we're working in dusty environments, and there's no way you or me or anyone that listens could say their lungs are 100% unless they're going to the doctors and getting checked. So this virus could really affect us in a way that we couldn't see. Because obviously,
trash, I'm sure.
Yeah, so we're breathing in these things all the time, and especially from a younger age, we're quite an informed information. What's the best way of putting this? We are an informed generation, so we grew up learning of asbestos and things. But we're going to find out in another 20 years that there was something in the ply, there was something in the formica, there was something in the corian.
It's all y'all's particle board.
Yeah, that's it. There's going to be something in them that creates a similar reaction down the line. So, in another 20 or 30 years, we'll be sitting at home thinking, after this next pandemic, we're staying away because our lungs are fucked. And I think that's really what everyone was trying to be sensible about.
20, 30 years, we're retired. So.
Oh, man. Yeah. Well, look, if everyone just goes now and really just goes by, if only 1 million, I'm going to do a charity, but if only 1 million people buy U-Scribe jerks today, Dan probably won't have to work for a long time. Well, I tell you what we'll do. We'll leave the coronavirus chat, mate, because that rabbit hole's too long, too big.
Oh, man,
It'll be aliens next. It'll be aliens did it next, or the Egyptians did it with the pyramids because they couldn't build pyramids. the conspiracy roots too deep. So let's go back, Matt. Let's think. You obviously were working for your dad. You'd worked in the shop, and I know recently, was it about a year ago that you went by yourself? Worked for yourself.
Yeah.
Went for yourself just over a year ago, and you had your little boy.
Yep.
I can remember you had
about 14 months old now.
14 months. That's crazy because I can remember you building your Riker table. No, what you call it? Your Riker
dresser.
Your Riker dresser. Was it the rainbow poplar? Was that right?
The drawers off. Yeah.
That was pretty nice, man. I like that.
It's pretty wild.
So I can remember you were building that at the time when we were sending you U-Scribes and things. I don't suppose your package has come, by the way.
Nope, not yet.
No. Tell you what, mate.
I'm sure it's going to take a while.
The mail's taking a while, yeah. But sent a few packages out this last couple of weeks while we've been had the time. So you transitioned from working to your dad, because I know you'd pretty much had enough of, I wouldn't say not being your own boss, but you wanted to do your own thing. How did you find transitioning from working for your old man to finding your own work, buddy? How did that go?
Well, obviously, like any kick-starting company, I'll say there were struggles. There was concerns certain days, especially with a newborn. Making payroll, making bills, stuff like that. The one thing that I did is I did a few jobs on the side before I switched over to kind of what I called create a cushion.
Yeah.
I did a few side jobs, took that money, created an account, and said, okay, I have X amount of dollars in the bank account, which means I can pay myself for X amount of days. I think it was, when I started, it was about 3.5, 4 weeks. So I said, okay, I'm paid for a month. If I can make enough money in that month to pay for the next month, then I'm doing good.
Yeah.
Then if I can take that month and grow it into 2 months and then grow it into 3 months, and that's kind of how I looked at things. The good thing about the kickoff is because I had been in it for so long, I did have quite a few, I don't want to say connections, but people already knew what I was doing. My name was already out in the community. I already had this presence. My dad's built houses down here for 30 years and never advertised one time.
Yeah.
It has all been word of mouth. It has all been recommendations.
I think if you're good at your job, that shines through anyway. And I think majority of people listening will be in the same boat. There'll be a ton of guys that just turn up and work for a guy. That's 100%. That's good. And for some people, that's how it is. But I think most people, I'd say, transition similar. I think myself, I used to, or even the jobs that you used to do on the side in the first place, you'd always tell them people to tell their friends. And to be honest, it spirals into having more work than you can cope with normally.
Well, my first, I'll say 4 out of the first 5 jobs I did on my own were for repeat customers.
Yeah.
So it's someone that I had either done a side job for or someone that I had done their kitchen previously and they wanted a bathroom or something like that.
Yeah, it's like the trust jobs, isn't it? The people you've already worked for, they've already got the trust in you. They know you can do the job, but it means you can get in the door and you can be the supplier and the manufacturer and the guy that makes the more money.
Well, that was part of my mindset to make that leap is, it was getting to the point where I had so many people coming to me to do side work that I had to turn it down because I didn't have enough time, with the day job, with that. And I'm like, I'm turning down jobs that I would prefer to do jobs, that I don't want to do.
Yeah, because you're working for your dad at the end of the day.
Yeah, because I would love to say that working for him, all I was doing was cabinetry and stuff like that, but I was essentially a working superintendent for him. And what that turned out to be is, anytime we didn't have somebody else to do something, or anytime someone did something wrong, or anytime they just needed a body, I was that person.
We would call a superintendent a foreman.
Yeah.
Foreman, so the guy that basically runs the job.
Yeah.
Some foremans are on the tools, but the majority kind of don't. So they would just be running the job. They would be in the office managing deliveries and orders and checking up on job, making sure people were where they should be and organizing the day-to-day. So I can imagine if you were doing the superintendent job and trying to, fit the cabinets or fit the trim, it gets stressful, especially working for family. I mean, there's a few of us out there that have probably worked for friends and family and made that the first and last time. That's tricky, man. I mean, I appreciate that, Matt. I know I spoke to you at the time, and it's hard working for your family for a long time, isn't it? I mean,
it is. Obviously, there's outside stresses that compound that issue. I mean, obviously, don't get me wrong. I would not be where I am without of course. Working for them. Without the knowledge that he's instilled in me. It's been a learning experience, both good and bad. But that's with anything in life. If you can, you never fail. You either learn or you succeed.
I think it's about paying your dues as well, Matt, isn't it? I'm the same. The guy that I did a lot of my apprenticeship with and the company I worked for them for a number of years, making sure that I was earning them good money before I went my separate ways, because they put this faith in you and this trust in you and paid you, whether you thought it was good or not. But you only realize after it's not as easy as it looks. The money is hard to come by and divide out and make sure everyone's getting paid fair and looked after. Excuse me, it's a bit more stressful operation than you realize. And again, but you get to that tipping point where you won't be your own man anyway, don't you?
Yeah.
So you started off Matt Moore's Designs, which is your company name, Matt.
Yes, sir.
Tell you what, give us a little bit of information of how you go about, one, getting your work. So is it just purely local area, or do you travel quite far out? And two, how would you go about, do you do similar to like what we do? So, I mean, I know some of these answers because I spoke to you, but not 100% sure. Do you specifically buy everything in to design, or do you make to order, if you know what I mean, with your work?
So when I started my company, I actually started Matt Moore Designs while I was still working for my dad. That was kind of my side project name. You know, I had shirts made just for people that I would, you know, friends of mine, people I would work for, stuff like that. The reason I didn't want to do something cabinetry or something woodwork or something specific like that is I want the idea of creating something. To design, to bring something to life. I tell people all the time, you know, I'm not your cookie cutter, you know, do the same as the guy next door. I'm the guy that you come to when you say, hey, I saw this in a magazine. I can't find it in a store. Can you make it? You know?
Yeah, so you want to go
Not
more
only can
down
you
the
make it-
custom and bespoke route of things, as well as being able to do your box standard things.
Yeah. Now that being said, I do quite a bit of ready to assemble cabinets where I will design a kitchen. I'll order pre-finished materials, all unassembled because I don't trust anybody else to assemble them for me.
So flat pack.
Yeah, flat pack.
You receive the cabinets flat pack, and then you assemble them in your workshop. Where is your base? Where is this your house, your home?
This is my home right now for what seems like the next 10 days.
Oh, yeah, of course, you're moving soon, aren't you?
Yeah. So, basically what I do, start to finish, you know, a client contacts me. It depends on the scale of the job, scale of the budget. I have a client information sheet that I send them right after I get a phone call, before I even schedule an appointment, anything like that. It's an online form that I send over to them. It's got, you know, general information, name, address, phone number, email, all that stuff. But then it's got questions such as, you know, estimated budget. It's got a question on there that says, what's more important to you, timeline, price, or quality? You know, it's got a few questions that I'm trying to kind of weed out clients before I waste too much time on.
I see. So when people make an inquiry, you're sending out basically an inquiry form back. Mm-hmm. Get some information plus some relevant questions so that you can, spend less time wasting time designing things that people won't touch. That's not a bad idea, you know. I don't know many guys do that, but I think that's a good idea. I don't know if many Brits do that. We tend to just, then again, it's probably just because we're probably closer. I suppose your work, if you're doing a site visit, it could be quite a travel, could be quite a distance away compared to us, possibly.
Yeah, I work, I think the furthest away I've done work is about an hour one way.
It's not too bad then. Not too bad then.
So it's not bad. I would travel further for the right job. But yeah, my biggest thing is I know going into it with my standards and the way I do things, I will never be the cheapest person out there. So if someone comes to me and says, I'm trying to do it on a budget, I'm not even going to waste my time.
At least that's it. So your inquiry form comes back and someone says, we've got a room that's 20 square feet and we only want to spend $3,000. You'll be like, well, you've got no chance to find somebody else. I suppose it's one way of weeding out the time wasters.
And not to mention, not only weeding out the time wasters, but if someone says, I want a kitchen for $8,000 or I want a kitchen for $18,000, then I know which direction I can take the design. I can design it more of a custom one-off where I'm building everything, or I know I need to supplement some of the pre-finished parts and do custom applications associated with that.
Oh, cool. So, majority of times, a majority of the jobs that you do then bought in, or are the majority that you make from scratch yourself?
I would say the majority is brought in, but even the ones I bring in have custom applications to them.
Yeah, I've seen you doing that a few times on your Instagram.
I can't tell you the last time
I
brought in a kitchen and just put it together and put it in.
Yeah, you've resized them and stuff, haven't you? And changed things and remade doors and drawers. I've seen
modify them, or I'll build a custom hood and paint it to match the cabinets, or behind me, I'm doing some white oak countertops for one of the kitchens I did. So it's going to have, dark brown wood accents with an off-white kitchen, that type of thing. I like adding that little touch to.
Yeah, because also you've just finished that older solid wood, older vanity. Was it a vanity and a dresser? I can't remember. Was it just a vanity? I can't remember.
It's a pair of vanities.
2 vanities, that was it, yeah.
That's a sore subject today.
What's going on?
I got to remake them.
No.
Yeah.
Why?
The stain color saturation, it turned out, believe it or not, my client was not happy with how even and saturated the stain color was. So they were going for more.
So they didn't like the neat finish, is what you're saying. They wanted it to be a bit more rough.
Less rough and more weathered gray, where there's wood tones showing through a gray and not a stained gray. Does that make sense?
So is there a way that you can just alter them pieces, though? Could you not sand them back? Would that not be a better way of doing it, maybe? No.
So here's my thought process. I thought about that, and my thought process is they're a pair of 48-inch freestanding vanities, which I could easily pluck out, put anywhere else.
Yeah.
They are finished very nice. It's probably the best stain finish I've ever done. I don't want to risk screwing up those pieces and the client still not being happy.
I see.
So my thought process is, if I just bite the bullet, rebuild them, reinstall new ones, then I can either inventory these 2 vanities and resell them, or I can, they are quality pieces, so I might as well not ruin them. You know what I mean? By trying, because some of the panels are veneered plywood, and I don't want to try to sand through and wind up sanding through a veneer. And you know, so I suppose
you want the customers to be happy first and foremost too.
Exactly.
That's how we're all getting our work, aren't we? So, but that's a pain in the ass.
It stings.
Was it expensive? Hit some figures, Matt. Come on. How much did they cut? I know the customer's not going to listen to this.
Well, and that's the thing, is the good thing about it is they've been really understanding. He owns a roofing company, so he knows what it's like. He knows what it takes.
Yeah, he knows.
And he even told me, he's like, I don't want you to have to eat this yourself. And I was like, I'm not going to charge you to remake these things, because it's on me. It's my mistake. I made a very rookie mistake.
Did they have like a sample board before? Was that kind of like how it went, and it's just not worked out the same?
Exactly. I think what it boiled down to is it was a time frame situation. When you make a sample that's this big, put stain on it, sits for a minute, you wipe it off. When you stain a whole vanity, you put stain on it. By the time you get to the other end and start wiping it off, it had soaked in more.
Yeah, so you've probably just got more coverage and thicker layer here and there where it's not showing through as much.
To me, it's the rookie mistake of not getting the sample panel back from her, having it here, comparing it as I'm doing it to make sure that it looks the exact same as the sample,
Oh, man. Well, hopefully it doesn't cost you too much money then, Matt, to remake. But at least you'll be an expert at making 4 to 8-inch vanities by the time this is done.
Exactly. Practice makes perfect, right?
So the timber and things that you got then, are they from Home Depot? Do you use a specialist timber place for your solid woods?
Yeah, typically I go through a specialty store. I got a few lumber suppliers. My cabinet lines come from a lumber supplier, so I get a lot of stuff through them.
Oh, cool. Do you still I know when I used to speak to you, because I was interested in cabinetry, comparisons to how you do things and we do things. Obviously, with the Uscribe going on, we were thinking of other designs and other ideas and some of the jigs that you've tested for us. Do you still buy in them same cabinets for them kind of jobs too?
Yeah.
Because were they made in China? I can't remember now.
I'm trying to see. I have.
You're working for your dad
like my
as
lumber
well, weren't you,
supplier. I have one or two. I say one or two suppliers that sell 3 or 4 lines each. They all come from different places. They all used to come to China. When all the American tariffs got put onto China, a lot of the U.S. suppliers that manufactured in China moved their factories.
Oh, I see.
So basically, I think they come out of Vietnam now.
Yeah.
Because that gets away from the tariffs and yada, 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 yada.
Yeah, I can just remember you saying, and I was looking into it quite a bit, and a lot of the American market, with like say the flat pack stuff that you do, so not necessarily the budget kitchens, because that's not fair. Right. I mean, the kitchens that you buy in, because obviously a lot of my work's bought in product. I don't make a lot. I used to make a lot more than I do now, and I hope to transition into a similar situation that you're in and go back a step in that regard. I want to be making more in the future. But as things go on, obviously with Uscribe takes up so much more of my time, I don't mind just turning up, opening a box, putting things together and fitting it at the minute. It's nice, it's pre-finished, it's easy. But the only reason I'm asking is obviously it's more the US-UK difference, because obviously in the UK, I would say the majority of cabinets that we buy are made within the UK, but made on an industrial scale. So the board material will come from a different country, but the cabinetry will be made here, whether it's in a flat pack version or a little shop. You'd go down to John down the road who's got a little cabinet shop, and he would be making cabinets. And that seems how we do it. So that's why I was asking about the Chinese thing. I wasn't trying to find out who your supplier was and undercut you. But it was more.
No.
It was more that to see how the difference was in terms of you buying in, because obviously it seems like a lot of the American guys make the cabinetry that they fit, or they're getting it from a source similar, so like a cabinet shop. So, for example, we both follow John. We speak to John. John seems to fit for a couple of builders. We call them builders. What you call them renovators and construction companies. And he will tag the companies in that make the cabinets. So obviously, independent cabinet shops. So it's interesting to hear that some obviously American product. I mean, it's probably a lot closer to China from us, which is probably a little bit cheaper, to be honest. Is to see the difference in you making and buying in, and it being from China or Vietnam, for example.
Well, you gotta break it down to you even think about materials themselves. When I build custom, I use domestic plywoods. I find they work better. They're truer. They're flatter. The finish is better. But really, even if you go down to the root of it, I'm sure the adhesive comes from China. Just because they're making it here doesn't mean there's not some sort of imported product of it.
Oh, yeah.
The way I see my imported cabinets is similar to what you do. You bring in components, even when you custom fit your wardrobes. You have pre-finished panels.
Yeah.
That you bring in. So really, I look at these flat pack cabinets as pre-finished materials. It's saving finish cost. It's saving manufacturing time because, like I said, I modify so much and I manipulate so much that it's really not, like you said, a budget kitchen. Yes, there's some people that can order these same cabinets and put it in a budget kitchen. It's like you said, that's that difference between design, aesthetic, and throw them together, throw them in.
Yeah, it's purely just because of the difference between the UK and the US. And what I found just recently, I was fitting a run of wardrobes in a big house, a really big house, obviously before lockdown. I wasn't doing anything last week. And the kitchen was from a well-known brand over here called Neptune. So they would be classed as high-end, so 40, 50 £1,000 kitchens, so say $60,000-$70,000. So that's like high end.
That's $5.
Yeah, that's high end. And I was speaking to the guy, and everything was made in China, and I was really surprised. And I was looking at it, and it was very much like American cabinetry, so similar to the cabinets I've seen you and John and some of the other American guys that I follow, or even how they make and assemble their cabinets. Everything was very much like them American kitchens that I've seen. And I was a bit taken back thinking, well, I know the markup must be really high because the panels were only 1/2 inch. They weren't 3/4, just little subtle differences. I mean, it was nice, don't get me wrong. And the finish was nice. It was all sprayed. But again, you can only buy it in certain colors. And then they've got to pre-finish the rest of the colors themselves. And then when you look into it, it seems that that's quite a normal thing to do in America.
Yeah,
and it's a little bit different here. I'm not saying it's frowned upon here, but if I went to a customer and said, I've just bought you all these cabinets in from China and I've sprayed them and I'm going to charge you $70,000, I know what would happen.
Yeah.
They'd rip me a new one.
Well, and that's, I don't want to say this is my long game business plan. I don't like being put in a box per se.
Oh no, and I don't want you thinking I'm talking it down. I've just
no. I completely understand.
Because I can go and buy a budget kitchen from here that's similar to this cabinet. Obviously, people on listening can't see this, but obviously anyone that watches this on YouTube, whatever. These are 18mm MFC 2mm ABS cabinets. Now these are very strong, very good cabinets, but these are still cheap. It's particle board. It's still MFC. So we can buy this in white. This will probably outlast the majority of furniture, but it's still, people still class it as cheap, but they don't know it's expensive cheap, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I get it, man. I didn't want to talk your product down. I didn't want you thinking I'm just
and I don't take any offense to it. I wanted to clarify because I am so custom oriented. Having those limited selections and limited colors is really, it's becoming daunting in what I do. It gets exhausting having to tell a client, oh no, we can only do 3 drawers there. We can't do 4 drawers, because that's just what it comes in. I want to get to the point where I'm that guy like, oh, you want 3 drawers? Done. What color do you want? Here's 1,000 colors. Pick a color. I want to get to being that fully custom every job. Knock it out however you want it, because that's how my mindset's always been. I want to be able to give you exactly what you want.
I think, Matt, that is similar. Obviously, I'm similar to you. The people we spoke about earlier are similar to you. And I think a lot of us want that. That's our goal. We're all very similar in that respect, that we all want to be in our space, making the furniture to our design with no limits, and then taking it to the job, installing it, getting the money, getting the paycheck, or wherever it may be, and being the first man, the second man, the last man on the job. Because at the end of the day, that's the win, isn't it? I think that's what we all aspire to. Nice workshop, nice clients, nice job, and get paid at the end of it.
Yep.
So that brings us pretty much smack bang up to the day, really, then, Matt, doesn't it, of your story? If we're being honest, you are now working for yourself. You're in a workshop. You're about to move home. So I take it you're going to have to move the workshop because you can't take it with you.
Yeah, I got to move the workshop.
Is the new place, have you found a new place?
Nope, unfortunately.
So you got where are you going in 10 days? You're going to live in a container?
Unfortunately, we got an accepted offer on our house the day after my wife got furloughed from her physical therapy job.
Yeah.
Because of COVID. So unfortunately, we cannot purchase a house until she returns to work.
So these people have basically bought your house, but you can't move out of it, is what you're saying?
We can move out. We just can't buy a new place. So
you're gonna do, man? Where you gonna go, Matt? Gonna live on the streets?
Revert to my roots. We're actually gonna move in with parents.
No! This is
Yeah.
the end of you, Matt. This is the end.
It hurts.
This is the end.
No, it's
I'm only kidding.
Stepping back to step forward.
The thing is, though, if you've made the sale, you can't really mess around and not do it because it's only going to cause an issue. And I appreciate you're going to have time to look for a home. You're not just go quick. We need a house and buy a house and then be in trouble. Bit like Travis. Do you follow Travis? Tools by Design.
No.
You don't follow Travis. You should follow Travis. Travis had that unlucky thing. He bought a house. I think Travis is in Florida, you know.
Yeah, I think he's close.
Yeah, I think he bought a house, and I think he's had to rip the front of it off because the person that flipped it before him didn't do such a good job. And he's got 2 goats as well. Maybe he's lost the plot. We call that when someone's going crazy.
Our thought process is, like we said, we saw the writing on the wall with this COVID thing. I feel like it's going to impact our economy more than it's going to impact the health of our nation.
Yeah, the next few months, maybe run up to Christmas, is going to be different and difficult for all of us, I think.
So what we decided to do, when we got this offer and she got furloughed, we kind of debated back and forth, should we stay? Should we just hunker down and ride this out? And it's like, we want to sell before there's a dip in the market. We want to make sure we get market value at this point.
Yeah.
Because the whole idea of selling our house is we are sitting on quite a bit of equity in it. And we were going to sell, buy a new house, and build a bigger shop with the equity in the house. So that's still the plan when the time comes. So at this point, we're just going to have to sell and stick that profit we make in a bank account until she returns back from work. And then, like you said, it kind of opens the door to things because now we can take our time to find a house. If we find something that, needs a new kitchen, I'll be able to do the kitchen before, I move into it rather than tearing my kitchen apart.
There's no rush. And like you say, touch wood and fingers crossed and all them kind of things that everything picks up, that it doesn't become.
Fortunately, when I used to work for my parents, they had a warehouse space. And even over the past year since I've left, they've maintained that warehouse space because it's got office space that my dad does the design work and stuff like that in. So I do have a space to move the shop to where I'll be able to continue working. And
so
then once I find a house for the shop, I'll be able to move out.
Use that as a workspace for the foreseeable. And then obviously that's a nice transition though, Matt. That means there's no rush, there's no panic. At least, granted, you're going to have to live with parents. And that's probably going to be the trickiest part, is readjusting to where, I don't even know what the word is really, going back home and being a child again. Yeah. Can I have a cookie?
Yeah, but the good thing is we'll have the grandbabies there, so I'll just be like, hey,
true. Yeah. You'll be out all the time. As soon as the restaurants are open, you'll be out. You'll be out all the time. That's cool.
So it's definitely not ideal situation. But my wife and I always say, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen the way it's going to happen.
That's it, mate. I mean, it's one of them scenarios that no one's ever been in it, and we don't know how to deal with it, and we're all going to find out after it's all been and gone, whether we're all bankrupt or whether we're all back to where we are or whether we're all completely fine. There's not much we can do, mate. There's not much we can do. We're just going to roll with it for now. Yeah. But now, whilst you're in Florida, Matt, we're going to have to discuss.
Don't bring it up.
We're going to have to discuss Netflix and the Tiger King.
So stupid.
How far away is all That from you?
Old Carol Baskins.
That bitch. How close are
I
you?
gotta
to
Google
all this?
exactly where she is, but probably 4 to 5 hours.
So, see, now this is the thing with us Brits. We see Florida, and so she's in Florida, and you're in Florida. So I automatically think you're close. 4 hours is like the length of our country.
I was about to say Florida's bigger than your country, so
yeah, that's it. So she's not close at all. There's no tigers just knocking around close to you. Then there's just not. You're not just cut on the fringe.
Right. We're literally 30 minutes from the border to Georgia, so we're kind of the most northern part of Florida. Yeah, and it would take us probably 9 hours to drive to the tip of Florida.
How much of Florida is a bit like Joe Exotic? I mean, are they just redneck hillbilly types that you see, or is that like an isolated thing? Is he just one of a kind batshit?
Well, Joe,
because in that program, there's like 3 or 4, 5 or 6, 7 or 8 people, and they're all like the same. They're all like mental, crazy, batshit people.
Well, Joe Exotic isn't from Florida.
No,
but
that's where is that where the tiger place was, though, or not? Was it just the other side?
Not his. That's where Carol he's out in Oklahoma, I think, and she's in Florida, and the other guy's in North Carolina or something like that. So they're kind of all over the country, but no, Florida's. That's the thing is everybody messaged me when they watch this and they're like, "Oh, is this what everybody's like in Florida?" And I'm like, "It's not."
It's either two things now because they've watched Tiger King. Everyone thinks you're all hillbilly rednecks with 3 teeth, or they think you're Adam Sandler in The Waterboy.
Yeah, well, Adam Sandler from Louisiana.
I know, but that's what you think, though. It's like Louisiana, Florida. It's all very close. That's what we see it anyway. We all just think you're going around, dang, dang, dang.
No, there's such a wide variety. I mean, you can get down to Miami and Fort Lauderdale and stuff like that, where you see Lamborghinis driving around and all these rich people. Yeah. I mean, you can go to little podunk towns and have people with 3 teeth, or you can sit at the beach with Jimmy Buffett. I mean, it's.
I think that's the beauty of quite a few American states is you've got everything within your state. You don't really know you go any further, do you?
Yeah. Yeah, the hardest part is all the people coming into our state.
Yeah. I think I want to go to Miami. Miami's on my bucket list. I definitely want to go to Miami at some point. Why? Why not?
I've driven through it once and I'll never go again.
No, why? What's wrong with Miami?
Terrible,
Miami
man.
Looks cool as hell. Looks like, don't ruin the American dream, Matt. You're ruining the American dream.
There's so much.
Miami
there's so many more cool places in Florida than Miami, man.
Yeah, I did meet a couple on mine and the wife's honeymoon, and they were from Fort Lauderdale. And they showed us a picture of their house, and they owned a restaurant on the Keys. And I was like, wow.
The Keys are nice.
Beautiful.
We're about 30, 45 minutes from St. Augustine. That's a really cool area.
Yeah.
Because obviously you got all the oldest city in the country and stuff like that.
And you got the nice. It looks like you got the nice weather a lot of the time as well. I mean, apart from this last week when I've been talking to you, it's just
for the most part, it's pretty nice. So
it's cool. Okay, then Matt, what we'll do, we'll wrap it up. I've got 10 quick fire questions that I want to ask you, and I'm going to make a point of asking most people when they come on the podcast. So remember, this is quick fire now. First answer, that's all I want. It doesn't matter if it's good, doesn't matter if it's right, doesn't matter if it's wrong. But first answer. Are you ready?
Yep.
Favorite food?
Sushi.
No, I was expecting gator tail.
I told my wife I need to be eating some during the podcast.
You should have had some gator tail, yeah. Favorite sport?
Football.
Proper
American
football.
College football.
Oh, college football. There's the funny shaped ball.
Yeah.
You do like soccer though, don't you? Because your daughter plays soccer.
I do. Yeah.
But I'm going to call it football because it's blasphemy. Yeah. We call it football. We invented it. Next one, big question. Festool or Milwaukee?
Oh, Festool.
Oh, I nailed it. Tea or coffee?
If there's no budget, festival.
Yeah, I have no budget. I know, but I know you like your Milwaukee packouts and stuff, so I thought that might throw a curveball.
Oh,
I did know you was a purist. I knew you were a purist at heart. I knew Festival Sedge was in there. He's got in there.
I got, I think, three sustainers in here now.
Woohoo! Check you, man. That's good, though, because America, it's expensive in America, isn't it? The festival is a lot more expensive.
Yeah.
Tea or coffee?
Tea.
Oof, nice. Dominoes or biscuits?
Dominoes.
Yes.
That's
working inside or working outside?
Do what?
Working inside or working outside?
Well, I'm a cabinet fitter, so inside.
Okay, good answer. Handmade or brought in?
Sorry, one more time. You broke up.
Handmade or brought in?
Handmade all day long.
Chinese or Indian?
Can I say neither?
No, you got to pick one. You haven't got to eat. You haven't got to eat a person who was talking cuisine.
Oh, Chinese.
Chinese.
That'll make my wife happy.
Wait, there you go. £1 million or $1 million or work for life.
Well, $1 million, right?
Yeah, if you don't work for life, do you? You're dead. And last but not least, this most probably important one. Did Carol Baskin feed Don to the tigers?
No doubt.
Everyone says, no one disagrees. Everyone thinks Carol Baskin fed Don to the tigers.
Exactly.
Man. And then just before you go, I know you recently went to do, I say recently, it was quite a while ago now, you did a Rubio Monacote. Was it a couple of days you spent with some other guys from social media and stuff?
Yep.
Rubio?
Yep.
And you got to meet the man, the myth, the legend that we all see, Festival Sedge. Is he as good and is he as fun, is he as nice a guy as we all think?
I would probably say he's better in person than he is on the internet.
Oh man, he looks so much fun. I love
he's such a character, man.
Yeah,
he's so nice and such a good dude. And I tell you what, sitting in a hotel eating breakfast beside that man, not only the stories and the knowledge that he has, but just the humor that he has.
He just looks funny, man. He just looks like a nice guy. He just looks like someone you won't be knocking around with. Obviously, we're all woodworkers and things in that scenario. So he's a bit of a hero, isn't he? He's a bit of a legend, really.
Yeah, he is. There was sometimes I'd be sitting there and get a little starstruck, just like, am I really sitting across the table from this guy?
He's a dude, isn't he? It's a dude. It's a bit sad to say, but at the same time, I mean it. I like the guy. I like to watch what he's doing. He's energetic. I mean, you American guys, obviously, it's a little bit different culture for us. Like, if we get too enthusiastic, everyone thinks you're weird.
Right.
But your culture is different. So you're very more confident, but it's acceptable confidence. So in America, I wouldn't say it's expected, but you will turn up to somewhere and go, I'm the man, I'm going to do this. You haven't got to worry about a thing because I'm the best. Whereas over here, if you walk in a room with a bunch of other tradespeople and go, I'm the man, I'm here, I'm going to do this, they're all just going to go, are you fucking real? Are you mental?
All right, man. Well, I got to go.
It's
got to get to work.
Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure, Matt. Thank you very much. I know it's early over there, and I appreciate you getting up to do this with us, mate. And I hope you have a good day.
No problem, man.
I'll speak to you soon, mate. Look after yourself, mate.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.
Grazie.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. Come again.
He's doing a great job.
Thank you very much, sir. I don't think you'll regret it.
Time to go home. I'm out of here.
I'm Pickle Rick.
Thank you so much for being my friends.
Great job, Knock Podcast.